MJF's next big program coming up is more than likely going to be Daniel Garcia. Looks like they're setting up for a potential matchup even as early as All Out in about 2 weeks. We should find out this Wednesday on AEW Dynamite if, in fact, MJF is going to be meeting Daniel Garcia that soon. But on the other side of that, where do you go with the MJF character? Now, the J in MJF could be Joker. And I'm going to start to find parallels in this video where we can maybe plot the next feud for MJF through this.
What the hell did you just say?
Now, not only am I a wrestling fan, I'm also a comic book buff, a nerd, or, all of these things. Not in the comic books as much as I used to, but I do remember this plot line from the Nightwing comics with Dick Grayson, who is also known as Robin, the tag team partner of Batman, if you will. And MJF reminds me of the Joker in many ways. He likes to get into his opponent's head by using words and mental strategic ways of kind of maneuvering in to get into the head of his opponents and then eventually beat them. Now, MJF is actually more than just words. We've seen in his match with Will Ospreay, we've seen in his match with Kenny Omega, we've seen him go the limit with 1 hour matches, on top of 1 hour matches, that this guy is more than just words. But if we're going to try to equate a comic book villain to MJF, I have to say the Joker would be the top on my list. Lex Luthor as well, but for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to say it's the Joker because I want to draw the parallel and let you know that Will Ospreay might be the Dick Grayson in this feud or program or storyline even for MJF. And I know this is going to be weird. I'm going to try and tie this in here because I do believe CM Punk would have been his Batman. As crazy as that sounds, and knowing that CM Punk will more than likely never walk in through the doors of AEW. I guess you should never say never, but the way that AEW is currently set up at this moment, I don't see in the career of CM Punk he's not going to be wrestling full time very much longer. He's in the twilight of his 40s, so I can't imagine him really putting in another 15 or 20 years of full in-ring competition. That I just don't see that he's going to walk through the doors of AEW again anytime soon. But I really, really felt that for a while there, MJF had met his Batman. He had met the rival of rivals. I thought that this feud with CM Punk was going to parallel Raven and CM Punk from Ring of Honor in a lot of ways. I really felt like this was going to be the feud that ties AEW to being a number 2 or being its own top company, that it was going to really hold AEW up because of this their program, because of their back and forth, just separate them from the pack, I guess is a better way of saying it. And for whatever reason, we know the reasons and we don't have to get into them. CM Punk is no longer there. So the Batman to replace CM Punk, if I had to choose one, would probably be Bryan Danielson. And the Dick Grayson would be Will Ospreay. Because in the comic books, Joker got into everybody's head. He messed with everybody. But for whatever reason, Dick Grayson was the one that never got traumatized by the Joker, or couldn't, rather, get traumatized by the Joker. So MJF, I can see getting in the head of Bryan Danielson. He was getting in the head of CM Punk. He's getting in the head of Chris Jericho, getting in the head of Daniel Garcia. I can see getting in the head of Adam Cole, I guess. I guess if they rewrite this history or this storyline of Adam Cole, if and when he does return, they can kind of rewrite the history and get us back on track to MJF being the manipulator here, when, history has shown that it was Adam Cole that was the manipulator. If they try to rewrite the history a little bit there, you can even throw Adam Cole in the mix of being manipulated by MJF and falling for his bullshit. But Will Ospreay can rise above that and not let any of those words get to him. And I think that would be an interesting arc, and it's an interesting tie-in. I'm trying to thread it together for the sake of argument here. The reason why I say Bryan Danielson can be the new Batman, I don't necessarily feel that we're going to see another Bryan Danielson feud with MJF, but there's definitely another match in there. And there's a part of me that feels that Christian Cage could be the one that takes the title from Bryan Danielson, but that's the exciting part. That's the part where it gets people guessing, is who is going to dethrone Bryan Danielson, because we don't know how many more matches he has left in him. So every match that he has in that ring could be his last, right? He's fragile, he's injured, he's got neck surgery looming. So every championship match he could lose. That is an exciting part of the Bryan Danielson championship reign, is that at any moment, any opponent that he has could score the 1, 2, 3 and win the world championship. So it could be Christian Cage, it could be Darby Allin, it could be Adam Page, it can be Swerve Strickland, it could be a returning Kenny Omega, it could be Nigel McGuinness. I mean, there's so many different options out there, but we do know that the two guys that have their top contenders shot, I guess there's two top contenders, is Christian Cage and Darby Allin. Christian Cage can cash that in seemingly whenever he wants. Darby Allin, we know he's going to get that match at Grand Slam. Whether that is against Bryan Danielson or Christian Cage or someone else is up in the air. But I also feel that MJF is going to get his shot at the AEW World Championship. It's there. The trajectory is there. The championship that he lost to Samoa Joe, he wants back, and I think he's going to try and go for it. And a back and forth between he and Bryan Danielson would be huge. And Bryan Danielson being the veteran, that they had a classic match the last time they were in the ring, it just kind of, it's right there for the taking. Now, I don't know if Bryan Danielson's necessarily a good Batman, seeing as though he's on his way out, but there have been countless comic books that have pinned Batman, Bruce Wayne, as an old over-the-hill guy, and Nightwing coming in to save the day as Dick Grayson. And so Bryan Danielson being on his way out, MJF could, go for the injury, go for the sneaky attacks and things like that, and Will Ospreay could make the save. That could also lead to Bryan Danielson against Will Ospreay in a huge rematch, which I would like to see as well. But I would also like to see Will Ospreay really become a fighting international champion and go for that, because we've already seen international champion Will Ospreay challenge for the AEW World Championship this past June at Forbidden Door. So we really don't need to see that again necessarily, but I would like to see Will Ospreay circling that universe of the World Championship a little bit. I would also like to see him team with Ricochet in a couple of tag team matches before they have their inevitable singles clash, the dream singles clash that I'm sure all AEW fans and Tony Khan himself are clamoring for. But let's get back to the topic here. MJF, if he is the Joker, and Will Ospreay is the Dick Grayson, Catwoman's got to be Britt Baker, right? I mean, come on, right? I mean, she's cracking the whip. I mean, hey. But all seriousness, I do believe that Bryan Danielson and MJF should have another match coming up pretty soon. But I do like the idea that Bryan Danielson and his World Championship reign, there's some suspense there, because we never know when he's going to lose the championship. We don't know how long his championship reign is going to be. Essentially, he's competing without a contract, if we'd like to believe what Bryan Danielson and Tony Khan have been saying. And we have no idea who or when he is going to lose that championship. Who is he going to lose it to, and when is he going to lose it? That is exciting television. That's something that AEW really needs, because if we're going to be tuning in and week out on Wednesday at Dynamite, on Saturday at Collision, and I'm telling you, they really need to take Rampage and turn it into a recap show. It's 1 hour. it'll really get the fans tuned in to just do video packages, to recap the week prior, to do exclusive backstage interviews. I know they do something like that online, but a lot of people are not going to be tuned in and watching it all the time. I mean, look, I'm subscribed to probably about 300 or 400 people on YouTube. If they're not hitting my algorithm, the chances of me searching for it are pretty slim. I'm just going to keep it a thou wow with you. So for them to do it online consistently, they won't have people that are kept abreast of the storylines, the feuds, and what's going on. Just like me, when I was watching AEW All In, I had no idea that Pac was now teaming with Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. I had no idea, and there was no reason given to me why they were even a team, and then they won the Trios Championship. So I feel like Rampage would be that bridge to people that are not going to be tuned into the algorithm on YouTube or on their social media platforms as often as they would like. And then for those that have not maybe caught Dynamite or Collision as consistently, they can keep updated on Rampage, and Rampage can help us build the anticipation to Collision and Rampage Collision and Dynamite going forward, and it would make for interesting builds. I mean, as a kid, I would watch Superstars, but WWF Challenge and WWF Mania, they also gave me an opportunity to get excited about the upcoming Superstars, the upcoming pay-per-view, the upcoming Raw, so like really utilize those third or four tier D shows to build anticipation for the other shows and keep fans up to date and interested in the storylines. It's something that no other wrestling company is doing right now, and AEW can really benefit from that if they were to go that route. So I am extending my opinion here on where they should go with Rampage. I didn't think that was going to be a part of this video, but it really was. It was pulled out of me because of the idea of keeping fans interested in Bryan Danielson's World Championship reign, keeping that suspense through Collision and Dynamite, also through the video packages. If they were to do that on Rampage, it would really build anticipation and get more fans to watch their television programs. But hey, that's just my opinion. That's just what I'm thinking. But what do you guys think? Do you think MJF, if he's the Joker, who is his Batman in AEW currently, and who is his Robin? And who do you think is going to dethrone Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship? And also, let me know what you think of that Rampage idea, because I really think it could be solid. I think it could be something there. It's only an hour, right? So utilize that hour by building to Collision and Dynamite. I think it's a good idea, but what do you guys think? Thumbs up on the way out, you guys. Thank you to everybody that has tuned in thus far. And as always, wrestling fans, stay tuned for more.